This entire thing just keeps unraveling itself and getting more complicated and honestly weird as time goes on. By now, I figure most people know what the whole movement is about, but to put it real quick for you, Stop Killing Games is a consumer movement to stop companies from revoking access to games you paid for over all sorts of reasons that they can come up with. And since then, one creator named Pirate Software, a YouTuber, has decided that he wanted to push back against this consumer movement and claim that it was not a good thing for the players to demand, leading to immense backlash. And now, Pirate has responded further. Then after this, I'll get into more developments and then some, but we'll get there when we get there. But let's start with Pirate Software. So like I said, he got attacked all over the internet for essentially being blamed for destroying Stop Killing Games initially, before it rubber banded in the opposite direction and then soared into the sunset. Of course, this didn't stop Pirate from trying to run even further damage control on this whole situation, where he posted this graph saying, "The most interesting narrative is that my videos somehow killed the initiative. This graph shows that the initiative already had a downward trend in interest when my videos dropped. My videos do not seem to have had any impact on the movement at all, making me the villain. Did though, best of luck with your next steps." Of course, Pirate would try to swing back with some sort of gotcha, except unfortunately for him, he's misinformed again. YouTuber Quinn Theo, maybe I said that wrong, my bad, but he got a hold of an updated graph for the actual timeline of how this whole movement has gone up, then down, and then up again. So here it is on screen, and let me walk you through it so you understand. On the left here, we see the beginning of Stop Killing Games on July 31st, 2024, when Accursed Farms, who began the movement, first made this petition. It surges up to around 30,000 daily signatures, going up to almost 60,000 plus, and then on June the 2nd, 2024, when Pirate Software first brings up Stop Killing Games as an initiative and then destroys its credibility by claiming that it's terrible, it's used car salesman nonsense, and everything else that he said about it. So after those videos published, as you can see, the daily signatures crater downward from 60,000 signatures to around 10,000. It then picks up again, but of course falters, and then for like the rest of 2024, it kind of just died, as we can see here, with daily signatures entering maybe in the hundreds or less as time goes on. So, Pirate Software claiming that his videos did not in fact ruin the movement is pretty much a lie. Let's just say it how it is. Because you can't look at that graph and not think that his not one but three-pronged attack with a live stream, plus two videos that reached hundreds of thousands of views each, that first video did over 1 million in due time as well, did not in some way, shape, or form have an effect on the Stop Killing Games initiative. It absolutely did. And Pirate's comments and disapproval of the movement led to its demise for the betterment of a year, pretty much. So, circling back to what he said originally, that his videos had no impact on the movement at all, yeah, they did. Just in reverse, because he did destroy it, but now, of course, like I said, it is now rubber banding itself in the opposite direction. So this is, yet again, Pirate misrepresenting the movement for no other reason, I guess, than he wants to destroy it, but knows that he can't now. So, his alternative going forward is to sidestep and try to pull himself out of the mess and now claim, actually, I'm not to blame for all of this pretty much, when he actually is. He's just kind of hoping that you're all dumb enough to not realize this and take his graph, which doesn't give you the real picture at face value, but that's okay, because that's why I'm here, to show you what's actually happening. Pirate running damage control was pretty much expected at this point. However, of course, him being him, he tried to still be smug about it. It's like if someone pooped their pants and then everyone points at them and then they start thinking, wow, I'm living in their heads rent-free. Like, no dude, they're staring because you sharded your pantaloons is why, but I digress. Of course, it doesn't end there with the smugness, however, because Pirate decided he wanted to double down further and be passive-aggressive about the whole thing. So, he was playing Dune Awakening on stream, got asked a question about the movement, and he said this.
Trying to say that our rescue is an animal horde. I've been called a pedophile, zoologist, corporate plant, degenerate, narcissist, nepo baby, and many other names, and they attacked all the accomplishments over my life, despite physical evidence to prove to the contrary. And they also went after every job I ever held, trying to say that I never worked them, or if I did work them, that I never deserved them. So, I'm going to be honest with you. I hope that your initiative gets everything you asked for, but nothing you wanted. And I'll leave it there.
First of all, you admitted yourself, Pirate, that you're a Nepo baby and got a job at Blizzard because of your dad. For people that don't know, Pirate's dad is named Joey Ray Hall. Pirate even told people the infamous World of Warcraft guy that sits in the chair fighting the South Park kids in the World of Warcraft episode was actually inspired by his dad. And that Pirate's dad actually worked closely with South Park's creators on that episode, so they immortalized him in the show by making him into a character. Pirate even admitted to this on stream. Here's the clip.
No, my dad didn't inspire the WoW guy from South Park. My dad is the WoW guy from South Park. He was the cinematic director for Blizzard for 23 years. He worked on the episode with Matt and Trey, and they turned him into a character. That's him. Yeah, that's actually him. Yeah. It's not a joke. That's not like a similarity. Like, that's him. This is his apartment. This is him. Even the guy that cosplayed my dad didn't know he was real, but no, he's a real guy.
So let's just start there, that Pirate is 100% a Nepo baby, despite him not saying that he is, and that he got his start in games because of his dad, and that is completely undeniable at this point. Secondly, claiming that he hopes we all get everything we asked for from Stop Killing Games, but nothing that we wanted, is an obvious jab on his behalf. What he means by that is that he hopes we get a hollow victory, if you will, that Stop Killing Games just ends up self-imploding itself and doesn't work so that he can come out on top like he's the Messiah pretty much, and he can say, I told you so. Because he's already made it very clear that he doesn't think the movement can realistically work in his eyes, but again, he looks at it from the perspective of a developer instead of that of a player. He doesn't really consider himself to be a part of this side of the aisle, if you will. His whole argument is that a movement like this would ruin video games, specifically online-only ones, not realizing that the reason why people want this to work is so that games stop getting delisted and taken away either entirely or online because there's zero consumer protection laws in place. This is why I needed to call him out for lying about the graphs and how he claims he has had zero impact on Stop Killing Games as an initiative, because it's completely false. I will admit, however, that his lack of endorsement was a catalyst that resulted in the movement exploding. But trying to paint his negative take as being positive in retrospect is just what someone would say that's trying to save face, if you will. But posting actual false information, that's not the way to do it. You also can't legally represent a movement or petition in a false light on the hopes of that resulting in the movement or petition's downfall, by the way. I'm not kidding, by the way, either. If we go look at the American legal publishing of the various laws within the United States, which Pirate lives in obviously, misrepresenting a petition is technically breaking the law, as seen here in section 43.32 under the misrepresentation of contents, seen here in section B, which reads, no person circulating or having charge or control of the circulation of or obtaining signatures to any petition not mentioned in the preceding subsection, and which is or is to be presented to any body, board, commission, or officer shall willingly or knowingly misrepresent or make any false statement concerning the content, purport, or effect of any such petition to any person who signs or who desires to sign or who is requested to sign, or who makes inquiries with respect to any such petition or to whom any such petition is presented for signature. That's a lot of a word salad. Basically, what Pirate did with his videos on Stop Killing Games by intentionally misrepresenting the movement by claiming that what they were advocating for is impossible or not actually what the movement was really about, which by posting that video led to, like I showed you guys with the graphs, that his exact moment in posting those videos led to the downward surge of signatures for the initiative technically violates a specific section of American law. Now, will I say Pirate is going to get sued? No, I don't know actually. After all, I am not going to sue this guy or anything myself. However, it should be made very abundantly clear that what he did was technically a violation of section 43.32b if we're being technical, which in a situation like this, that's pretty much important. Also, by the way, section C part also conveys this more, which reads, no person shall willfully or knowingly circulate, publish, or exhibit any false statement or misrepresentation concerning the contents, purport, or effect of any petition mentioned in this section for the purpose of obtaining any signature to any such petition, or for the purpose of persuading any person to sign or not to sign any such petition. That one also, yeah, he definitely did the opposite of that. Again, I'm not going to sue the guy or anything myself, but I am going to lay out the information so you can all see it. So when Pirate claims that his involvement led to no meaningful loss for Stop Killing Games, that is not exactly the truth, as we can now see. And actually, following his whole thing and the whole rubber banding effect, shooting backwards, now the movement, quite frankly, it cannot be stopped. As seen here on r/data is beautiful, the surge of signatures from 2024 to right now, as you can see, very clearly skyrockets following the viral movement gaining steam. The graph here says around the end-ish of June 2025 that the signatures then exploded, and yeah, even comparing Pirate's graph, at roughly the same time as seen right here, the numbers explode coincidentally as well. But this still means that the downward trajectory coincides perfectly with Pirate misrepresenting the movement with his videos intentionally. That cannot be refuted or debunked because it's been cataloged, compared, and confirmed by thousands of users online already. Just Google it, you'll find it everywhere. To deny this now would be pointless and fruitless really, so Pirate lying about this, yeah, it needed to be called out. And with this video now existing on YouTube as you're watching it, it will stand as solid proof to challenge and convey the direct opposite of Pirate's claims. Except I'm not just going to say, trust me, bro, as I've literally shown you the proof that you can screenshot, share it around, do whatever you want with it. And it is important to do this because naysayers will try their best to ruin this movement in any way that they can. And speaking of naysayers, I do want to bring up how that group that is against Stop Killing Games, which in case you don't know, Video Games Europe is the group that is in direct opposition to Stop Killing Games. They're comprised of various executives all hailing from various video game publishers from Nintendo, Sony, Xbox, Ubisoft, and much more as you're seeing on screen. However, one of these people is Carrie Hopkins as seen here on the list. She specifically represents Electronic Arts or EA. Carrie Hopkins, that name might not ring a bell for you, so let me explain. Carrie Hopkins was notoriously involved in a really big anti-consumer problem within UK Parliament a few years ago, surrounding the ethics of specifically loot boxes and how they preyed on young children. So, in case you don't recall, this was all started back then by Star Wars Battlefront 2. And Carrie Hopkins, who's the Vice President of Legal and Government Affairs at EA, spoke on behalf of the company she represents to defend the loot boxes in that game. And this comes from Polygon in 2019 and it's titled, EA calls its loot boxes surprise mechanics, says they're used ethically. Yeah, Carrie Hopkins even notoriously, as seen here in the article, compared loot boxes to things like Kinder Surprise eggs, claiming that they were just as harmless to a child as those sweet chocolate treats with a toy inside. Yeah, I know, this woman defended Electronic Arts' business practices of locking content in Battlefront 2 to chocolate eggs and tried to sweep it under the rug. Carrie Hopkins said more too, which is, we do think the way we've implemented these kinds of mechanics is quite ethical and quite fun, Carrie said. They aren't gambling, and we disagree that there's evidence that shows they lead to gambling. Ah yes, one of the defenders of arguably one of the most predatory practices in modern video games, that being microtransactions, is lying to British Parliament and said loot boxes don't lead to gambling addictions. Except that's completely untrue, as for example, as seen here in 2023, a research firm in Canada conducted a survey to see if the opening of loot boxes did indeed lead to further gambling outside of the virtual world. The survey, in this case, was conducted with 400 people between the ages of 18 to 23. These players, who regularly play video games obviously, were asked in this study to open loot boxes and then tell the researchers if this emboldened them to seek more habits that were tied to gambling and things like that. Then the study was left alone for about 6 months to, evolve. After this 6-month period, those 400 people were then contacted again with updates on their beliefs or their actions surrounding loot boxes and gambling specifically. And as seen here, the results were concerning, and the researchers said, we can see that clear migration effect. The people who are spending more on loot boxes are more likely to initiate gambling over that follow-up period. And that link is really specific to the randomized microtransactions, the loot boxes. They specifically take aim at how companies target the minds of impressionable young people, essentially normalizing the concept of gambling to them, at a very young age through the avenues of what should be, in theory, a safe hobby for them to enjoy. The reason why I'm bringing this up is simple. Carrie Hopkins, that's the woman on behalf of EA that defended this practice, and further monetized it, of course, in the years to come, sits on the board of Video Games Europe. Again, the same group that has officially condemned and went against specifically Stop Killing Games. So these people do not want this movement to flourish and will stop at nothing to destroy it. And they're sure that they can, like they have so many other things in the past. Because look at loot boxes, microtransactions, all of it has evolved well past the point of being simple Kinder Surprise egg-like purchases, as Carrie Hopkins said. You now have microtransactions that are costing $20, all the way up into the hundreds now. Go look at Counter-Strike for a great example of that. So the slope right now couldn't be more slippery if we tried, and that's why they want Stop Killing Games to end. Because its existence threatens the fabric of an industry tightly bound to reject and destroy any and everything that we deem important to video games. And ultimately, you're not allowed to own anything, and if you say anything against that, you're the problem and not them. Yeah, it's just insane is what it is. So when we take this direct opposition to how we can play our video games with the added pushback by people like Pirate Software, none of it really helps. These people are legitimately getting away with digitally tearing any and all ownership of the goods you buy these days, claiming that you actually own none of it and that all the games you pay more for can actually easily be pulled from you without a moment's notice, and it's considered totally legal to do. And now with Pirate Software out here trying to garner sympathy while also lying about what he has and hasn't done against Stop Killing Games, also shows that there's still a lot of work to do here, and that they simply cannot keep getting away with this. And the more rope that we give them, the more surplus they'll have to tie it around this movement's neck, until they just kick the stool and cause it all to come to an end. So please, sign the petition if you live in the EU, link is in the description box below. Please do not let up and realize what the opposition wants more now than ever anything else pretty much, is that they want the public to become apathetic to the cause or just stop caring about it pretty much. Because once that happens, it'll become very easy for them to destroy this without so much as lifting a finger. And they're hoping that you'll let that happen, because there's a very big monetary reason to keep you and others like you on your knees with their boots on your necks. After all, look at this from Insider Gaming to prove my point. Call of Duty Mobile has made somewhere near $3 billion in revenue since its inception, completely filling the pockets of Activision Blizzard executives solely based on microtransactions or surprise loot boxes, as Carrie would have put it. This info comes from John Matthews' LinkedIn profile, who, if you don't know, is the product manager of Call of Duty Mobile. He also worked on Diablo Immortal as well, so Call of Duty Mobile has not only crossed $3 billion in revenue, but get this, it has over 1 billion downloads in total worldwide too. Through Call of Duty points, battle passes, and crossover slop content, they've made this astronomical amount of money in a very short period of time. If that isn't enough to make you feel sick, as also seen here from Insider Gaming, Call of Duty Mobile apparently makes more in a month than what Warzone Mobile makes in a year. That is actually insane. COD Mobile also had over 100 million downloads in its first month of being officially out. And remember, if COD Mobile, down the line, becomes unprofitable or something else, Activision Blizzard can just pull the game, pull the plug, and kill it, leaving you, the player and the consumer, with literally nothing to show for all your money and your time that you spent on that game. So what COD Mobile represents is what the industry wants more of. You know, cheap, easy, and super simple to sunset. If they want to just make billions of dollars with, slop content, and it's pretty much everything that we as players don't really want to see more of because of what it represents and what it can do. And this is okay, but if you wanting your purchases to be protected and all of that, well, now you've crossed the line. That's why this is also important, and I hope this video helped you understand why this movement must succeed, but that's all I got for you today. So stay vigilant, thank you for watching, subscribe, I'll keep you up to date in the future, and I'll see you next time.